Greetings! Welcome to the Devlog for hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. We're going to start off as always with a quick sound check. Make sure speakers aren't up too high. There we go. Wonderful. Or almost wonderful. Missed one of them there. So what have we got for you this week? Well, any of you who have been following my streams this week know that I have been very busy. I have been working so intensely on this prototype. I've been streaming it a ton. If you haven't checked those out or followed me, I'm on Twitch, link in the description of this video. And I have been working away on blockouts and functionality for this prototype, and honestly a whole bunch of related systems. Working on this has made me have to go around to a whole bunch of the game in terms of like SOSIGs and sound perception and such. And anyway, we'll get into the specifics in a moment. So one thing you'll notice that I've got some fellow wieners here, and they did not freak out about me shooting a gun, and that's because this little blocked out area that I'm working on, which is going to be an outdoor range. We've got a pistol bay here and what will be a rifle bay there going out to about 300 meters, is in what's called a threat suppression zone. And what a threat suppression zone is, it is an area of the level that causes certain sorts of perceptual events that would freak a SOSIG out to not occur. And so they not only don't freak out, they don't look at me. If I have, let's see, I don't know if any of them are close enough here, but if I grab one of my magazines here and fire this down range here, are any of them close? Yeah, so that one there, I don't know. Oh yeah, a couple of these are now looking at me when they hear the sound. They're not freaking out because I'm still inside the threat suppression zone. Whereas if I were to run down here, actually I'll just demonstrate the difference here. Fire that there. Is he going to turn and look at me? I don't know if I'm within his... Okay. He looked at me that time. He was like, what on earth was that? But didn't aggro to it. So he perceived the sound, but didn't respond to it as a threat. However, if I come down here, like so, with a gun, and be like, what's up? They'll immediately start panicking, like so. And they'll start running away, because I'm discharging a firearm, not in the correct place to discharge a firearm, etc. So, let's reload the scene so we're not freaking out these wiener. Actually, you know, let's use the travel menu to do it. My menu is messed up, like 2 of the pages are active at once. There we go, we're back to the range. So yeah, this is one, as I said, this is one of the 2 scenes that I blocked out this week. This is going to be a range you can use. That's going to be the range office. That's actually going to be a gun store. I might move it a little closer so it's a little bit less of a pain in the ass to walk over to, because I imagine you're going to be wanting to walk over to it pretty commonly. Oh man, I need to detangle my cord. So this scene is going to be a test of a bunch of things. One of which is that it's the first scene that I've put together for this prototype that's huge. It's like, my goodness, I think it might be about 1 kilometer across. There's a whole bunch of more sparse areas. We've got some hiker SOSIGs moving around. This is eventually going to be the road that leads up to here. Amusingly, when I was blocking this out, I don't know what I was thinking. This is like way too wide, this sort of gray area here. But the road sort of sweeps down there on a gentle grade. We've got a really steep grade here and a bunch of forest. I pulled these suckers out. I made these absolutely ages ago at this point as a solution to trees. I don't know if I've explained this recently in a devlog, but basically trees are your worst nightmare in VR. And the reason they're your worst nightmare in VR is that they are what's called alpha cutout or alpha blended, meaning that they draw pixels additively, and so as they overlap each other in your view, that pixel is getting drawn over and over and over and over again by the GPU, and that begins to really add up. And so I wanted to make, and they're also end up being pretty complex physics-wise if you want anything to interact with them. And so I had made these a while back as a solution for essentially having something that was tree-esque, sort of function from a sightline standpoint as trees, but was walkable terrain, you know, ballistically interesting, and solid. And I had made a whole bunch of variants. I modeled these all by hand several years ago. And finally decided to get them in. I know they're illustrative and ridiculous, but I don't know, something about a world of hot dog people having like fake trees made of plywood because all the real trees are dead or something just feels kind of right for this game. So it kind of makes you wonder if the grass is green because it's been painted. So yeah, so this is in here. This is, as I said, an absolutely huge area. You know, we should accept a contract. We should see what's going on here. So let's see what we've got. We've got Imposter. Oh, this is so janked. Which appears to be a warehouse district contract. We're going to accept one of these. Infraction, accidental arm swinger jump. I almost feel bad. So we're going to accept that one. We're going to accept a Midtown one as well. Armed with unlicensed finger guns. Can't accept that. Bonk. Cool. And we will travel over those areas in a moment. But I first want to demonstrate something over here by getting into trouble. Man, this just... I don't know how much this reads on screen, but in VR, it just always feels cool to be in an environment like this because it just feels enormous. So... Hippity hop. I'm actually going to momentarily switch to teleport. And just get us all the way over here. Bop, 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 bop. So over here is another one of my tests. So I can't remember how much I've mentioned this on the devlog, but one of the ideas in this prototype is that there are various sorts of factions. You are a contract griller. You are essentially a gig worker in this. And some of the factions each have territory associated with them. So one of the factions is called the Home Fries. They're sort of like a Sosig militia. What are you two doing? You shouldn't be spawning in this level. I'm very confused. I thought I only configured hikers to spawn here, but I guess I also had some runners. That shouldn't have happened. I'll have to figure out why that's bugging out. Anywho, I must have a mistag. One of the regions in here must be tagged as street. So as soon as I walk in here, I'm entering what's called an auto-threat zone. So it's similar to the no-threat zones that are up there at the shooting range, except with this, basically, if I'm inside a Sosig's threat range at all, even, you know, I'm going to completely unload this. So I read as no threat. Actually, we gotta pop the round out. Yoink! So I should read as 0 threat right now. But as I walk in here, if I walk into one of their view cones within their threat range, which I think right now is set to either 30 or 50 meters, it might go out further just because this level is so big. He is going to, yep, he sees me. Oh, I'm not supposed to be here. Sorry, didn't mean to trespass. Don't shoot. Don't shoot. Up, up, up. Oh. So yeah. So this allows Sosigs to elevate from the sort of neutral position relative to the player into being an enemy. Oh, he's coming for me. We're going to have to... Exactly. I'm going to take your gun, too.
Was that really necessary?
It super was. Peace! Let's get out of here. So yeah, right now... The way I'm going to probably make the auto threat zones work is actually extend the range that threat occurs all the way out to their full sight range and not just their like threat aggro range, because I should, in this circumstance, they should be like, hey, you shouldn't be walking here. So, but I will fix that later. This is all just so barely patched together. You have no idea. Oh, I probably count as threatening because I'm... Actually, wait a minute. They shouldn't see a small gun. I should be able to carry that in my pocket just fine. Maybe that too? Let's see if he freaks out. What are you doing here? I don't even know. That's a coffee shop. That's like a cafe wiener. I don't know what on earth. Something is very broken with my Sosig chooser. I've made a whole bunch of different types. They should be spawning correctly by type, but apparently a running cafe wiener is spawning. I have no idea what's going on. But anyway, so let's actually we've got some contracts. So let's check this out. Let's go over to the other scene that I have blocked out and hope it doesn't error on us. I haven't actually tested this scene at all, so this will be my first time doing this. Okay, we got a text message or a message from dispatch. Griller, your target is in the area. Nashi Onionsky has been seen near Area K. They were last seen wearing aviator glasses and a Wings jersey. Target is likely alone. It could be moving anywhere. So, this scene is a warehouse district that I blocked out just yesterday, I think. That has a couple things. It has some. Let's take a look at our worker SOSIGs here. Looks like a real slave driver here. Managers. So you move on into this part of the area. This map as well is has a sort of home base area tagged to another faction, which is our Cheeky Brutskis, which are our tracksuit wearing. Hey, wait, is that a gun? Why is there... Oh, I know what happened. So, this is on the ground here because I think my config template for the Cheeky Brutskis, instead of having the SOSIG PP19, has the player one. So I think that SOSIG must have spawned with that gun and then just dropped it, which means this is probably erroring out, but we'll find out in a moment. Just come over here. Eventually, once these are no longer just mock-ups, areas that are faction-specific will actually be marked. So in the case of this area here, which is a threshold for territory for a faction, will be clearly marked so you don't just go wandering into it, obviously. So yeah, I'm not actually seeing any of them spawned here. So something definitely... Oh, there's our target! So, the way this should have worked, in case you were curious, is that this contract didn't have a difficult constraint to it, like shoot the target in the head, or dispose of the body, or something like that, because the target was located in a faction's territory, which inherently gave it difficulty. That is, if this hadn't aired out when I loaded it. So let's go home for a moment. Let's just see if this is completely broken. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we're not even... So it didn't register that contract was completed. I'm going to fix something real quick. Alright, it's exactly what I thought. So let's give that another go. Even though we've already seen some faction stuff, let's go back down to the warehouse. I still need to fix that quick belt thing. Okay. Now he's got a tube stakes jersey on. Yeah, that's so weird that it's spawning running coffee. SOSIG. Something is definitely up with one of my area definitions. We're gonna just take a shortcut over here. So I was saying on stream the other day, shipping containers arrayed exactly how you would never array shipping containers, because that's the way it works in video games. And yeah, there we go. Now we have Cheeky Brutskis. He's wearing the wrong colored tracksuit. I must have dragged the wrong ones in. So yeah, so he doesn't mind me. I'm gonna leave the carbine there. And so my target's in here, so I would have to try to be stealthy and get in. Oh! Did they?
Huh?
Oh my goodness. Is this what I think happened? So I think I think they're shooting at the target. No! He's mine! Don't!
It's all gotten so dark now in 2020.
No, they got him! No! So yeah, so clearly what happened is the auto threat zone, which was supposed to ignore any SOSIG marked as a target, did not. And our friends here did not enjoy the target being present in their territory. So, wouldn't be a devlog without several bugs. Anyway, let's move on to our proper contract. Let's go to Midtown. So, yeah, something is definitely broken. That SOSIG is running like they're an athletic SOSIG. Weird. Messages. Griller. Oh, let's see here. We our contract was completed because the target died anyway. And Griller, your target is in the area. Vex Rinderbrats is present. Aviator sunglasses and a red hoodie with the hood up. So, this is the next thing to talk about in terms of layers of difficulty that are present. Is that red? I don't know. That doesn't really look red. It looks kind of like pale. Maybe in this light. Ah, you know what? I think it's that one. Does he have aviators on? We'll have to check. So this ominous orb in the sky that we are now pondering is a debug object. This is the other thing that I got working this week, which is the concept of infractions. With infractions, you have the equivalent. The part of the goal space of this is not just sort of like going into a space, grilling a SOSIG for a contract, but doing so with precision. And that means several things. One, it means that for a given contract, we might have a set of constraints. Let's see if we have a constraint for this. Doesn't look like it spawned us a constraint. The other thing is we don't want to get negative reputation. So if I just, with all of these metazens around, if I just start firing off a gun, they're going to panic, they're going to run away. If any of those events transpire while I am visible by a camera, which are going to be present in civic spaces, I get docked in my reputation. So if I go over here, I have the Metazen app, which shows that I have some reputation, which I got from the cheeky Brutskis for doing their contract, and then I've got city firefighters, paramedics, etc. So I'm going to we've seen me succeed, so I'm gonna fail now. That one, I can't tell if that one is running or just. Yeah, I think that one might just be out for a morning run. I don't think that's not the panic behavior. This is the panic behavior. Does anyone else like 1911s? Anyone else? They're really neat. Oh, he doesn't like that. Oh, we got a text message. I think we've just been penalized for showing off our 1911. Our city reputation is down to -1. Oh no, Agent Hans 57 has been called in because our reputation has suffered low enough. Has Hans seen us? I don't know why is Hans broken again? Hans is broken again. You should see me. I'm right here. I have a gun.
What's that?
Oh no, no, he doesn't like that. Nope, Hans doesn't like PP-19s apparently. So, one sec, let me just deal with Hans here. Oh. That's definitely gonna ding the old reputation. Let's see here. Oh no. Oh yeah, it's going. My reputations. From Metazen, your reputation with the city has deteriorated to annoyed. Yeah, they're not gonna like that at all. We should get out of here. We still have a contract to finish though. Where's the one with the red hoodie? Ah! There we go. Perfect.
Guess I'm out.
Flawlessly executed. Ooh, negative 93, negative 101. Oh, it's going down so much. The camera is just like you're made of crime. So we're going to leave. Now, eventually, you're not going to be able to just like, oh, I'll just leave the scene and click here. There's going to be a transit zone in each location of a scene, and you're going to have to get to that transit zone to be able to leave. And there's probably going to be some sort of constraint over aggroing. I'm not quite sure yet. Do we get another message? From dispatch. Yay! Contract completed successfully. So our rep, even though we took a huge rep penalty by discharging firearms in public, our rep went back up to negative 54. So obviously you want to play this intelligently instead of just, freaking out Sosigs in public. But there you have it. And the cool thing is, and this simulation is already in play, the Hans 57 griller who came after me is I took him out, so he's now healing for a certain amount of game time. Like this shows that it's now 3 p.m. 8/7/42. And every time I travel to somewhere, an hour ticks by. If I get killed myself, 8 hours transpires as I'm healing up. They'll eventually be away with like an alarm or something to advance to the next day, and contracts will repopulate each day. So right now, there's only 3 more contracts available, but if I were to tick forward a whole day, let's see, did I build that into the debug menu? Okay, this advances me an hour. Let's just click this a whole bunch. Should be a new day. Boom, there we go. Contract board is repopulated. You can see a couple of these contracts only have 1 day left, making a point an imposter. If we just advance again, squeaky vibe wand to the next day, 0 days left. So this would be the last day those can go. Let's go past there. Bop. There we go. Regenerated with new contracts. So that's the way the system works. And yeah, so there's been a lot. There's all sorts of like other little stuff that I've gotten done that I can't like cleanly demo and show off because it's just a piece of something. Let's jump out of VR so I can talk about like what's going on, what I'm showing streaming wise, and what I'm currently building. Yo, so out of VR, what else is going on? So yeah, this prototype it's not just that it's coming along well. It's been the most fun I think I've had working on something for H3 in quite a long time. It feels like, it feels amazing to pull something sort of like out of the dumpster of past ideas that didn't quite make it and sort of like breathe new life into it, to like realizing, especially like as I work on this, that like I didn't know how to code the things that I needed to know how to code to make this happen back the last time. I would have probably run into a bunch of brick walls or just done a way worse job. And it feels really cool to know what I'm doing to the degree to be able to make this work. So the next things that are of prime interest to me in terms of making this prototype work but my whole goal structure here is and it's why the levels are all super rough and blocked out looking and just they're boxes. They're colored boxes. And the reason is, instead of like with so many of my ideas, I get lost in like art passing things in a way because that's just a certain type of pleasurable and it's simple in a big way. It's usually about concretizing answers. It's not about, dealing with really difficult design questions. So I'm trying to not do that. Instead, just like rough level, get it in, get Sosigs moving around, next thing. And the next sort of group of things that I really want to get working on this are getting a set of temporary objects to represent the sort of civic cameras and getting those installed in a bunch of places. And then the other thing I want to get what I sort of imagine, because there isn't going to be sort of like high camera coverage, but I don't want it to be that every area that is outside of civic camera coverage is 100% safe to do whatever you want. And so this is going to be represented in 2 ways. One, I intend to put like essentially like a flying camera drone type thing that responds
to audio signals. So even if you're not seen by one of the existing cameras, if you discharge a gun into the air or make an equivalently loud noise, blow up a piece of C4 somewhere, that will get detected, and then the flying drone that itself has a downward facing camera on it will then abandon its standard patrol path and fly over to that point. So you can use this both from a distraction standpoint, like you could discharge a firearm in the back of an alley sort of thing, pocket your gun and run as fast as you could to another part of the level, knowing that the camera drone that could see you is now going to be over there and will take a certain amount of time to get there and return to its route, to then be able to execute your contract in a way that doesn't get seen because your contract requires that. So, and there's a whole bunch of, I haven't really covered this on the devlog. I realized there's like so much stuff that the downside of streaming right now relative to doing the devlogs is that I'm doing so much stuff during the week. And I've talked about so much stuff on the streams that it's super easy for me to lose track of what I have not talked about long form, in the devlogs. And I've totally lost track. What was I even going to be looking up in the code? That's the faction list. I was talking about cameras. Yeah, I've completely, I could look back at my recording, but I've lost my train of thought. But anyway, I'm just trying to get the camera loop in. Oh, constraints. That was the thing. So the other thing that I have coded up, I've got about 20 contract constraints working so far, and a couple of them are close. They need a little more support code. One of the big varieties that is going to come through this game loop, which is the thing that why I'm racing to get this part functional, so I can see how much meat there is, on the bone for this idea, and that the game loop is interesting enough, is constraints. And so constraints are things like, and a contract can have more than one constraint with the way I define them. So a contract could determine the way you have to grill your target. So projectile, melee, dismemberment, neck break, headshot. The distance you have to grill your target. So like within a certain distance or at least further away than a certain distance. And I still have to write some support code to make sure that the system doesn't generate impossible combinations. Like right now, if it put a contract on the city scene where you have to be 300 meters away, you can't do that because the scene isn't that big. So I need to make sure that happens. There'll be a bunch of status effect ones, like making it so that like the SOSIG has to have been set on fire once, or frozen or zapped or something like that. And there'll be ways to do that in the game space. Body completely destroyed, just the head exploded. I was thinking actually the head might have to be delivered to a location. The body might have to be dumped in a dumpster. I've got a constraint I'm working on where you actually have to use a provided weapon instead of the one that you have, like narratively, like as though you're sort of, someone else is going to get the credit for this. Like in your like classic crime movie, it would be like framing someone, but within this narrative context where you're basically like you're a gig worker performing your civic duty to like get everyone to behave, and that's why contracts are being taken out. I imagine having to use a provided weapon would more be like another griller is having self-esteem problems, and so you're doing the hard work and they're taking the credit or something. I don't know. And then a whole bunch of constraints to not have certain infractions occur while you're in the level. And this is why like having to go to a specific extract point is very important, because you don't succeed at the contract the moment the SOSIG dies in it. Instead, the contracts are processed for success or failure when you leave the level. And so it's still the system is still keeping track of like whether targets are going alert, whether you're getting infractions, whether you're disturbing the peace, discharging your firearm, whether cameras are seeing you, so that when you actually exfil out of the location to another level, it'll then run through like for every accepted contract for each of its constraint. Did you do what it asked or did you fail? And you can both instantaneously fail at the moment you take the target out, but you can also fail when you leave. Like you could have had a totally clean take out the target cleanly with a constraint of like doing no infractions, and then on your way to an exfil, another griller that's coming after you because your rep is negative with a faction attacks you, and you pull out your gun and just start firing back in range of a civic camera, bam, you get tagged for an infraction, you fail that contract. So that's the whole thing that I want to try to get working here, is a whole bunch of interleaved constraints and incentives that speak to each other and can like spiral out of control in direction, and then just can like lead to interesting things. And going down super down in rep for a faction isn't necessarily fully a bad thing, right? Because when you go really low down on faction rep, the way I'm building this, other types of contract grillers that are almost like boss duels will start getting called out, like a contract is being put on you to grill you. And so there's going to be this sort of rogues gallery of named grillers that get hired by various factions to come after you. Some of them will have cool Sosa guns, which might be like, that's still a resource that's present here. And certain sorts of contracts will only occur if your rep is really low. So like the home fries in this are real anti-government. So a bunch of their contracts will only unlock if your like civic reputation is really low. If it's really high, they're like, oh, he's following the rules as a griller. He's being polite about it. He's not disturbing the peace while doing his job. Boo! Sort of thing. So you won't be able to do those. So no matter what situation you find yourself in with the various sort of rep thresholds, there will be contracts available and various sorts of interesting things will transpire. And obviously, like, I don't know, like a whole bunch of these are still just like a smattering of ideas. This whole process, this whole prototype is me just like, as the sort of wild game developer I used to be, that I was earlier in H3's project, of just like picking up handfuls of ideas and throwing them at the wall recklessly to see what works, to have fun with things. So far, it's fun to me, but a lot of that is just the fun of bringing things online. And so I don't have the critical distance still to be like, is this even working yet? I don't even think I have enough of it quite working to be like, do I have a solid loop yet? But it's getting there. As I said, the things that I need to get working, which are going to be my focus for the next week, is I want to do like 1 or 2 more areas. I want to get cameras up and working so there's more coverage. I want to get a whole bunch of my grillers, the various ones who can sort of like come after you when you get contracts on you, functioning. So there's a whole bunch of them, so that when you take one out and they're like out of commission for a day and you cause another infraction, boom, there's another contract, like someone else is coming to come after you for it, sort of thing. And then I need to get some of the economy of the mode working, just like still very, very basic. I want to get a couple utility stores put together. And then at that point, when I'm no longer having to use the item spawner to populate equipment, I'll be able to play this in a long loop and be like, do I like get way too much money too fast? Does my reputation decay? And like, does failure mean that I just sort of like windmill downward irrecoverably? And then I need to figure out how those sort of reputations work. The difficulty with making something like this that isn't just like a narrative set of missions, but is like a simulation that you're just put inside of, where things can move on all of these different axes, is that unforeseen combinations are kind of the point. And so there's a lot to figure out. But I'm having a blast with it, and I hope it continues to be interesting to have you folks watch me sort of do this. It is, as I said, it has been fulfilling in a way that the work on H3 hasn't been. Don't get me wrong, I love working on this game. I wouldn't be doing this still after this many years if I didn't. But this has been stimulating and inspiring in a way that that hasn't in a while, and I'm just having a blast. So anywho, I will stop rambling. If you want to see more of doing this, check out, like, give me a follow on my Twitch account down there. I've been streaming several times a week, completely different times. I'll probably do it at least once this weekend, especially because it's hot here and I don't want to leave the house. and you can see me continue to just slam stuff into this prototype and get shot in the head a lot. So hope you have yourselves a wonderful and cool weekend, and I will see you soon. Peace.